Hello, do this a video. We're going to talk Sorcerer and Stormweaver because it's one of the most popular, because it's one of the most powerful, whilst being the most able to get your currency up by either dropping currency or getting your gear so you can sell it, even on solo self-found. If you ran this with the end game thing of I can run Magic Find and not actually sacrifice some defenses, you'll probably want to run this, or at least a variation or version. Now, this is from Sanctum, is a Twitch person. We do have another one I'll show you, because in this it's got some uniques and stuff. I'll show you one that actually doesn't. Mid-game he gets rid of all the uniques, but it's build variation more than anything else. So in this particular one of the strongest ones is obviously using Spark, Archmage, Blink to move around but on weapon swap, Mana Tempest, Conductivity, Orb of Storms. Now, the tree is pretty much all damage. You're going up here to these block nodes for more damage, and you're taking Stormweaver and you're getting more damage. So if we have a look at this, this is more what your character's probably going to get. Ignore the fire, unless this, I'll show you the fire. So it's Blasphemy, which creates an aura around you, and then you're doing Enfeeble. You can run that if you wish. You can swap them up, but obviously lightning or fire is preferable. You're doing Spark Flame Wall because you add damage when you fire through it, and you got the Ember Ciliade, Solar Orb, Firestorm, and Flammability. And the tree is more over here, getting some damage nodes up there, and a bit more attribute heavy, and you'll sort of get less damage nodes per node, but you'll pick up the attributes so you can wear gear and use gems, because they've got green gems, blue gems, and red gems, so you need different stats and all that. And Enfeeble, this does cost 60 spirit per curse you put in it, so you're going to have to actually use most of your spirit just to run this, but it's an aura around you. That's the sacrifice of that. They did bump it up from the preview of earlier ones because people were theory crafting and it was getting too powerful, so they probably added 60 instead of 30. But we have a look at this. This is on Mob Analytics from Sanctum, as I said, and this actually has a leveling guide and how to use it and how to go through it, different jewels you should be aiming for and everything. But why are people using this? One, it's powerful. If we have a look at the actual tree, you can see a lot of the top ladder are using Stormweaver to actually play Path of Exile 2, because you have range from the enemy, which is important because it gives you more time to think. The Sork is obviously slightly less strength to start with, which means you got slightly less health, but you got that distance. So if you've run the campaign before, you shouldn't really have an issue. It will be if you can't get the gear. If we go to here more, the energy shield and life on gear will be your main point. Obviously movement speed. Movement speed is way too important right now, in my opinion. You pretty much have to have movement speed all the time. You almost have to sacrifice leveling up your gear, as far as boots are, unless you gain 2-3 resistances on it. The armor, evasion, energy shield on it, or whatever. If you are going from a pair of movement boots to no movement speed, you will suffer. These uniques, not as good as they used to be, but it helps this build a lot with the energy shield, but it does have reduced cast speed, so do be aware if you use something like this, cast speed is obviously important. Attack speed is less important on a merc or a warrior because you can pick up some attack speed quite easy through other means. Whereas the gloves are mainly for the electrocution and it costs like 1x. So pretty much you can run Flame Wall early on with this. If we go back to the campaign, you can run Flame Wall early on this as well because it adds more damage. You can just go straight up Spark, and the sort of key turning point is when you go into late game. You can go Chaos Invocation, I believe it's called. Yep, there's one. Inoculation. Once you build up 3-4k energy shield, you can spec into Chaos Inoculation, and then you are immune to chaos damage. Chaos damage is heavy in late game. Poison is a chaos damage, so you get immune to it, but poison is not chaos, so chaos resistance doesn't help it. Like, it helps poison, so you need bleed as well, and other things that you actually might run into, but your resistances must be capped. Energy shield must be enough to act as your life, so don't just run into a build with this. Look at if you're watching someone, look at their energy shield, look at their gear, look at their sort of ailment immunities type stuff. Don't just go, oh, they're using it, I'll use it. It is a very dangerous thing to choose, as well as it used to be slightly better. But blood magic removes all mana and converts to life costs, which means the higher your cost is, the less life you have immediately after casting skills, which means you are more susceptible to die. So those two, don't just rush into those. But as I'm pretty sure I said, you can go full damage in this, and we'll go Magify, and we'll go endgame. As you can see, we come up here, curse duration, doing damage. We have effective curses, we're doing damage. We're taking intelligence stuff, which increases our mana. The slow start to energy shield is a problem, but not. If we lose our energy shield, we're dead anyway when we spec into this. So the slower, it's 4 seconds on base the energy shield takes to restart if you're not taking damage. So even if you haven't got this, you need to survive 4 seconds before your energy shield comes back. And then we have speed for spells, which does more damage per intelligence, which is one thing that you could spec more attribute nodes. If you got a path somewhere and say this is all spell damage or something, just as an example, and you're like, oh, I could pick up 20-30% spell damage, or I could path all the way up here, all the way over here to get to here. This node makes it more likely that you should go here to pick up the attributes than the actual mini build node, mini power nodes. Obviously these are link skills and all that, but if they were obviously what you were pathing to. So energy shield, reduce max life. This is only really once you start hitting the fact that you aren't using life. So be careful on taking things like that. But pretty much energy shield and damage is pretty much all you're doing on your tree. and then we're specializing which weapon we actually do. If you wish, weapon swap is becoming more popular and everything as people are doing it. You don't have to if you don't want to. But as you see, we're using pretty much the exact same skills through the entire thing. Once we unlock it, we just add more power, more power, more power. So this is why it is actually very important to understand why people are playing things. The passive tree, we're going all attack early. As we get into maps, we're starting to add energy shield, we're starting to add stuff like that, going into, if you wish, chaos inoculation. If you don't wish to go that, then you really need your chaos res right up there, and just be aware that you'll take a lot of chaos damage the further you go into the end game. It's like last epoch. The ultimate builds once launch happen was low life builds, high energy shield, because you gained so much defense out of sacrificing life. In PoE 2, there is so much attack which is chaos poison based, and it does so much damage later that it's almost better to just go, okay, I'm ignoring that, I'm putting this on, I'm just focusing on not losing my one bit of life, and obviously then shield. So the build is strong from start to finish, as long as you just pick damage early, because you're going to get ES based stuff. So you're building up your energy shield and some life, because obviously energy shield doesn't just stop everything. So you need some life, and you won't have any immunity obviously to chaos unless you go that late. So you'll need the resistances, you'll need life for degens, you'll need energy shield for your physical mitigation part. So you're going all damage, and for the most part you're going spark. You can do the flame wall like here, and you can swap it up early, but as you get more specific, you pretty much have to pick either lightning or fire. And this is from Rutu, and this is from Sanctum, just so I give credit to the builders of the builds that I am using as an example. Now, just to go over everything, the one reason why people do it is end game, even early. Magic Find, because you are just throwing all damage down, and then late taking some extra defense on the tree. So people are doing this because it is just damage, 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 damage. If it doesn't do damage, I don't care. And what's not to love about that? Let me know what you think about the Stormweaver and Sorc, and whether you choose to go fire, lightning, fire and lightning. What do you think is the best type of Stormweaver out there? Or sort of which element is best in your opinion? But let me know what you think. Hopefully it explained some things about the Stormweaver and how builds are created based on the Stormweaver, and how to progress towards endgame. And as I said, you can come over to Mobalytics, check out Sanctum, or check out Rutu. Sanctum is on Twitch. This goes to Sanctum D4, but I'm pretty sure he changed it to Sanctum_TTV. Could be wrong, but this is the build I'm following. I'm just unsure about whether the link is correct I gave you. So let me know what you think, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.